Hi, happy Tuesday, and welcome to this live stream where I'm going to be sharing the biggest mistakes that I have made as a real estate agent. So, I think that this is really helpful to talk about because one of the coolest parts of having like a virtual mentor or just somebody that maybe you read books from or podcasts like mine or YouTube videos that you watch like mine, the benefit of that is being able to stand on the shoulders of giants, in my opinion, right? So, like learning from other people's mistakes, seeing where they have gone before and being able to like walk that path to more quickly get to your version of success. That's what I've always done in my business. And I'm always interested in learning, like, from those people who seem like they're really crushing it, like what went wrong on your journey to get to where you're at now? That kind of thing is just really interesting to me. And so that's what I want to share a little bit with you today. Now, my son is in the background. This is a live stream. This is real life, and I am a real human. Surprise. So you might be hearing my 18-month-old in the other room. And if you do, that's cool. Just so you know, that's what's going on in there. He's having a lot of fun today. But I'm really excited to share some of these. So I actually just put this up as a reel on Instagram as well. So if you don't follow me at Bryce and Stefanie, that's BryceandStefanie. So my name has an F, not a PH. You can see how I also took this content and like repurposed it into a reel as well. So you guys know that's something that I like to talk about a lot, as far as like how to make really valuable content for your audience and repurpose it in a couple of different ways. If you want to see how I do that, that's what I also posted up. But also, if you don't want to listen to me talk for like 10 minutes straight, getting it quick on Instagram is a good way to do it too. But let's dive in. So after 7 years in real estate, these are the main mistakes that I have made in my career. Now, if you have any questions for me, since we are live, we can have a little fun and make this collaborative. Any questions that might be on your mind as we're chatting about. So the first mistake that I'm going to mention, investing in ourselves, and that actually comes in a couple of different steps. So first off, the biggest mistake that we made getting into the business was literally not like hiring a coach or a mentor. And for some reason, when we kind of thought about hiring a coach or a mentor, we're pretty coachable people, but I don't think that we thought that we were worth hiring a coach. Does that make sense? Like, we were so new, we just kind of assumed that we had to get a couple of deals under our belt. We needed to do the DIY approach and really like go through the school of knocks before we felt like we were worthy of hiring a coach. We also thought that we had to be able to generate income before we hired a coach too, because we wanted to know whether or not it was actually possible for us to like make it in the real estate industry. Looking back, that is such a dumb approach. Like, I was so stupid. I'm going to say these words a lot because like I do think that there's a lot of things that just come from overthinking it, or just straight up miscalculating. But this was what happened was that really real estate industry with absolutely no experience. We consumer finance sector, which like literally has nothing to do with real estate, and from scratch. We'd never run a business before. And to think that we had like the chops to make this happen on our own was really ballsy of us. And through the DIY approach, through just making stuff happen and grinding and working really hard, we did like quote unquote make it. We earned the money that we needed that first year, and every year since has been better. But God, we would have saved ourselves from so much struggle and heartbreak and silly mistakes along the way if we had actually invested in ourselves and brought on a coach and a mentor to help us. Luckily, we did have just mentorship within our brokerage because we had great relationships with leadership there. So that helped. But if we had somebody who actually helped us put a strategy in place and give us accountability and help us avoid the more obvious mistakes, we would have been much more profitable much sooner, which would have allowed us, this is like the second part of this, it would have allowed us to invest in ourselves more fully, right? So like, the sooner you invest in yourself and get profitable, the more you can invest in yourself, reinvest in your business. And that is the other big thing that we made a huge mistake on, is not investing, like reinvesting in our business by acquiring properties, right? So like this is kind of a twofer. If we had invested in ourselves professionally and gotten profitable more soon, like more quickly, we could have reinvested in properties by picking up doors. This was like 2014, 2015, 2016. The market was barely recovering. And we look back at some of the properties back then that we had flipped. We did a couple of flips on the side. We flipped for a couple of years. There's a lot of fun. Those properties, like if we had enough revenue, we should have turned those into rental properties and added them into our portfolio instead of flip them. Flipping at the time was sexy. It was fun to post on our Instagram. People love seeing the design aspect and like, just the whole idea of a quick investment. But if we had better revenue and just a better sense of what we were doing, we would have had so much more money. our net worth specifically would have been so much higher if we had actually been able to reinvest in our product that we were actually selling, right? So that's mistake number one, poor investment choices, not investing in ourselves sooner and not diversifying like our reinvestments into our business and our personal wealth. Second one was dealing with nightmare clients and letting that kind of put us in a funk. So we've had our fair share of nightmare client scenarios. And I remember each and every one. And for years, a really bad client experience would send me into a tailspin because internally it would affirm everything I was afraid of, which was that I'm not good enough. I don't know what I'm doing. I'm not worthy of being successful by myself or in this industry. Every bad client experience seemed to reaffirm that, which was like my nightmare. And I wish that I had understood that every nightmare client experience was a lesson. So that's what we do now. We take the lesson from these nightmare experiences because we still have them. We still have bad client experiences. When you interact with the public, there's a lot of personality clashing sometimes. Sometimes you drop the ball. Sometimes you straight up make a mistake. Sometimes you set poor expectations. And sometimes, most of the time, you're just dealing with jerks, right? Which is why we want to do so much of the branding and marketing that align us with our ideal clients to like weed out as many of those people as possible. But it still happens. And now when that occurs in our business, we just know to take the lesson, say goodbye to the rest. And I wish I had learned that and adopted that approach so much sooner. I mean, I've had clients straight up like walk into open houses after us showing them tons of properties and buy with an agent there because they didn't understand. Like nightmare, right? I've had clients straight up like decide that we were the worst people ever for like some weird, silly in their mind mistake that we made. Like miscommunications. We've had so many crazy experiences. I could probably write a book just because we've been in business and worked with so many different clients at this point to where like there were plenty of times that we wasted a lot of time and energy that should not have been wasted. So that's number two. Number three, which kind of ties in, is self-doubt and not valuing our worth. Okay, so this is something that I'm constantly seeing because I mentor agents in the Market Authority Academy. And a lot of times it's not so much like the strategy that's missing with agents, it's self-doubt that's keeping them back from actually taking action in their business. And that was me for a long time in a lot of different places. So like one great example that I like to think of is our database. We didn't really put together our database or SOI to tap into like network referrals for a good solid like year and a half in our business. And I assumed that they just wouldn't want to support us because we're new. And I assumed that I would fail in front of my friends and it would be embarrassing. And I assumed that they just didn't want to refer us. And I assumed wrong, right? Like our database really did show up for us once we did get things organized, once we clarified our messaging, and once we started marketing to them consistently. But because of that self-doubt, we held ourselves back for a really long time to actually tapping into that potential, which is so important in those early days. And then that kind of ties in hand with like valuing your self-worth, right? So one of the most important things that we can do as a real estate agent is understand our value beyond just like opening a door for clients or putting a sign in the yard. You and I know there's so much more behind what goes into facilitating a successful real estate transaction for a buyer or a seller. And once we understood how to articulate that, a couple of things happened. Number one, we were able to generate more, like cultivate more confidence in our own service because we finally understood the value and the transformation that we can help provide to our clients. But as we began to articulate that and then show proof through other client experiences, it also helped our clients value us and understand our worth better too. So that's also kind of a twofer. That self-doubt holding us back and then kind of saturating our self-worth was a biggie. And then once we overcame that, like a light switch, our business changed. Okay, so we're on number 4. So we talked about poor investment choices or lack thereof, nightmare clients, yikes, self-doubt and self-worth issues, yeah. And then now we're going to talk about stupid spending. So I'm just going to make this one brief because there's a lot of ways that we can waste money in this industry. And Bryce and I, like, probably almost definitely wasted $100,000 in our first couple of years, just on stuff that like didn't really contribute to our success as a business. I mean, maybe not that much, but it feels like it was that much that we wasted over time. And so now in the Market Authority Academy, I'm like on the other end of it where I'm like, yes, you guys, you do have to invest in your business at some point, but like, don't be stupid about it. And one of the most important lessons I learned about spending as a business owner is like, if you have a lead problem, meaning if you can't find leads, if you're not generating leads and you start getting that commission breath, don't go buy leads. Oh my gosh. Once I started investing in our systems, in our business, in our actual marketing, that's when our business started to explode. But we, like most agents, had dabbled in buying leads, like Zillow leads, Realtor.com, some of the portal leads like that. And that doesn't go anywhere. Like, that's just like a Band-Aid for your business, because what happens is like you maybe get busy with a couple of those clients, maybe you're able to close one, but you're still not prospecting. You're just buying leads, right? And like maybe they'll convert, maybe they don't. But then at one point you're going to wake up one day and you're going to be back at square one because you have not still been investing in your business and marketing and prospecting in the proper way. And so even after those like Zillow deals might close, which we never really were successful at closing those at all anyway, but maybe once those close, like you're still going to be starting from scratch and it's just like an endless hamster wheel. And so we found that if we were stupid spending, our business was going nowhere. So like no more buying leads. And instead we invested in ourselves. We invested in our skills, in our business infrastructure, in the systems that helped us market consistently. That's when our business really took off to another level. And finally, not learning from mistakes. So this kind of ties in with the nightmare client situation. But like I mentioned earlier, any business, you're going to run into mistakes. You're going to feel like a fool. You're going to say the wrong thing. Something's going to fall flat. Like, it's just stuff happens. And it's only a failure if you don't learn from it and take something from that, right? And so we stopped looking at the fear. We started looking at the risk of failure, not so much as a thing that we wanted to avoid, but something that was part of the process. Because if you're not failing often enough, you're not growing fast enough, in my opinion. And the more we fail, the more that we're actively learning better ways to be like better real estate agents, better business operators, better stewards of our community, right? And obviously, like, you do owe your clients perfect paperwork. You do owe your clients the very best of your fiduciary, and you want to follow through on that. That's aside, like, you do owe perfection there. But everywhere else, like if you're afraid of marketing yourself or putting yourself out there or investing in yourself or, doing the open houses or whatever, like if you're afraid of looking stupid, you've already lost, right? So just go ahead and do it. And if you say the wrong thing or, if something falls flat, you're just going to take that lesson and it's just data, right? Failure at some point is just data that is going to help you, arm you with the knowledge that you need to make better decisions and grow faster down the line. I'm getting a truth preach from David, so I'm really glad that resonated with you, David. Any questions about this stuff so far? I think we're wrapping up here. We've covered a lot today, so thank you so much for joining me on this live stream. Quick recap of the most ridiculous mistakes that I've made as a professional realtor in 7 years. Poor investment choices or lack thereof. My gosh, you guys, I could just kick myself for not buying like those really cheap properties and adding those to our investment portfolio in the beginning. And I could kick myself for not investing in coaching and mentoring sooner. Now I can't hire enough coaches and mentors. Nightmare clients, allowing those to put us in a funk. No more. We're just going to take the lesson and leave the rest. Letting self-doubt hold us back. Not doing that anymore. We're going to understand our value and our self-worth and know the service and transformation that we actually provide to buyers and sellers beyond just opening a door or putting a sign in the yard. We're going to cut out the stupid spending. Buying leads is never going to be the answer. So we're just going to like put a pin in that, you know what I'm saying? And then we are going to learn from our mistakes. So again, the biggest mistake of all is not learning from your failures and learning from your mistakes. So that's one of the easiest ways that we can correct course and make sure that we're doing better the next day, right? I hope that this helped. I just want to remind everybody that every real estate agent or personality that you see on social media is wrestling with their own demons. A lot of times you might see another agent who looks like they're just crushing it on the highlight reel of social media, and they're sharing about, you know, the business that they're doing and the new listings and the clients and this and that. Everything's going good, but every last one of them are wrestling with a lot of demons behind the scenes, right? And I'm that person too. So like we all have multifaceted lives. And so don't ever believe the personalities on social media that want you to think that everything is perfect and blissful in their world, because it does not get that way without a lot of hard work and sacrifice and lessons learned. Okay, just food for thought. Really hope that you guys found this helpful. David said, love these live videos. Thanks again. Learn a lot every time, getting closer. Really happy to hear that, David. You're on track to do great things. So I'm excited to see what next year has in store for you and for the rest of you as well. So I want to just thank you so much for joining me along. Go ahead and chat with me on Instagram at Bryce and Stefanie if you want to take the conversation further. And like I mentioned, I do hope that this served you along your journey today. Until next time, keep on crushing it.